I want to make a comment about Dreamers and the actions not only today but in the past that the city of Chicago have taken, and also with the new resolution trying to align not just what city's doing but asking the state to join, because I think we're a more powerful voice on behalf of Dreamers. A lot of you know that Amy and I and the kids had numerous Dreamers to our house for dinner that Cardinal Supich joined us at. And if you listen to those kids and hear them, those Dreamers, in my view, are upholding America's promise. And so Chicago will help them fulfill America's promise as Dreamers. They are exactly what you would want out of your own children. And when we sat around the dinner table, they talked about going to college. They talked about what they were dreaming of professionally. These kids were brought by their parents here when they were young. They've embraced America in all its values. And we should be proud of them. And we should do everything we can to protect them and encourage them as we would our own children. And I say that because here, while Chicago has many Dreamers, and in fact at the Solario School yesterday, a number of children have set up their own club who are the children who are Dreamers themselves. And that exists at different schools throughout the city of Chicago. And there are 800,000 Dreamers in the United States of America. In Illinois, there are 42,000. So slightly more than 5%, I think it's the third largest in the United States of America, are here in Illinois. And while the governor signed the Trust Act just the other day, making Illinois a welcoming state, to be consistent with that, we are calling on the governor, Governor Rauner, to follow through on the spirit of the Trust Act, encouraging and allowing MAP funding, which is a funding for individual students to go to college and higher education, just like our Chicago Star. Open it up to Dreamers. Let them access those resources so their dream is not cut off prematurely. Use the resources of the state to help now these Dreamers who will be facing legal action, legal costs. Use the resources of the state to defer those legal costs so they can actually stay here as residents in Illinois. There's professional licenses that need to be changed so that Dreamers can actually work in those professions, like being a pharmacist. There are things Illinois can do that is consistent with the spirit of the Trust Act that allows Dreamers to understand that their dreams are our dreams. And if you turn your back on them, Illinois will be taking Dreamers, and rather than the American dream being accessible, it will turn into a nightmare. Remember, they know no other country. They know no other value system. They have fully embraced everything we have embraced, and more. Because a lot of us, haven't served in the armed forces, yet they are. They have truly, not just educationally, but also in what they've chosen to do with their lives, embraced the values and common understanding of who we are. Now, I want to say one other thing, and I am usually very careful. I never talk about private conversations I have with presidents. But the action by President Trump yesterday is not consistent with what President-elect Trump said to me when I delivered a letter by 16 other mayors to him, specifically on Dreamers. It is also not consistent, although that he's not the president, with what now Chief of Staff Kelly said as the Secretary of Homeland Security when we met upstairs in my office when he was here in Chicago. And I think we should all take note, because I know that Senator Durbin talked about his own conversation was communicated without saying what the president said, because I will not do that. The action yesterday is not consistent with what he said the other day. Rather, when he was president-elect, when we met in New York, and I delivered to him specifically a letter signed by multiple mayors. I think it was 16, it could have been 18, but 16 or 18 mayors from around the country, different sizes, different parts of the country, all calling on him to ensure that the executive order stays the executive order as it relates to our Dreamers, And the reason they're called dreamers is because they do embrace and uphold the American dream. And again, there's a promise there. Chicago will do what it needs to do to help these dreamers fulfill their wishes to be and embrace all of America. We will never roll back from the notion that the Chicago Star Scholarship, which was unique in the United States, it's here in the city of Chicago, we established it, that if you get a B average in high school, community college is free and it's open to dreamers. People who are dreamers can be interns in the mayor's office, city council's office. People who are dreamers can access our summer jobs. We will never roll back, not just between here and March, after March, even if Congress does not act. So the steps that Chicago's take are consistent with our values and who we are.